I'm such a great father for buying our daughter a house. You can leave if you disagree. After all, once you've given me the money, I don't need you anymore." Those were the arrogant words of my husband, who made the unilateral decision to buy a high-rise condo with my money. But it turns out he had a shocking plan in mind. As soon as I heard it, I retaliated without a second thought. I went to my room and brought out our divorce papers. "All right, here are the divorce papers." The look on my husband's face was priceless when he saw the divorce papers. I suppose he never imagined I'd have them ready to go. But the real counterattack was just beginning. I couldn't help but smirk. "My name is Lily Johnson. I'm a 50-year-old office worker who has loved the Japanese language since my student days. I can carry on a casual conversation in Japanese without any issues. When I was 23, I married for the first time. Unfortunately, my husband left this world just 6 months after our wedding. The cause was a traffic accident. He was hit by a drunk driver. Back then, I couldn't accept the harsh reality and lived my days with a gloomy face. I received $500,000 in life insurance money after my husband's death, but no amount of money could bring him back. During the darkest times of my life, I was comforted by a man named Ethan Johnson. He was a co-worker at my company who would listen to my story for hours on end. Over time, I found myself falling for him, and we married when I was 25. I never forgot about my first husband. I still vividly remember the times we shared, and I decided to keep the life insurance money untouched for emergencies. A year after marrying Ethan, we had a daughter, Mia. Maya is now an illustrator living on her own. With her grown up, one might think I'd have a peaceful life with my husband, but that's not the case. Our relationship started to deteriorate when Maya was in her junior year of high school because we couldn't agree on Mia's education. From the time Maya was born, Ethan had mapped out her future on his own. He repeatedly expressed his wish for Mia to attend a prestigious university, believing it would open up more opportunities for her future. He even enrolled her in tutoring services since elementary school. Ethan never pushed Mia too hard to study, so I didn't oppose, but Maya loved drawing more than studying, even as an amateur. I could tell she was incredibly talented. I had a hunch she might make it in her career someday. That hunch turned out to be right when, during her junior year of high school, Maya announced, "I want to be an illustrator in the future, so I want to go to an art school for university." I wanted Mia to pursue what she loved, so I agreed, but Ethan was vehemently opposed. "Go to a prestigious university like Harvard. After graduation, work for a big corporation. It's more secure and you'll be happier," he yelled, completely dismissing Maya's dream. Even when Maya suggested I could start by working for a company, Ethan wouldn't hear it. "An illustrator? You're just playing around drawing pictures. I didn't invest all this money in you for you to have such a frivolous career," he said harshly. I found myself stepping in. "There's no need to speak like that. It's Maya's life. Let her try," I said, but that only made Ethan angrier. "Maya is my daughter. It's a child's job to fulfill their parents' dreams, and if she lives as I say, she's guaranteed to be happy," he spouted such nonsense. There's no guarantee that attending a renowned university or landing a job at a big corporation equals a happy life. It was shocking to realize Ethan held such a distorted belief. I had hoped he would eventually come to understand and support Mia's decision, but that was wishful thinking. Despite our attempts to persuade him, our efforts were in vain. A deep rift formed between us. While I took on all the financial responsibility for Mia's education and living expenses, he seemed dissatisfied. I remember his constant complaining and snide remarks. Despite all this, Maya was admitted to her first choice art university and worked hard on her studies. She landed a job as an illustrator at a certain company and started living on her own. Though there are tough times like working through the night and on holidays, she's doing well. However, my husband still refuses to accept Mia's job. He constantly complains, saying we wasted money on tutoring services and that it's embarrassing to have such a failure as a daughter. I thought his views would change once he saw Mia standing on her own, but there's not even a trace of that. He's also been harsh towards me for siding with Mia. He yells about the food tasting bad or the cleaning not being done almost every day despite not being able to do any housework himself and leaving it all to me. At this point, I realized that this was his true nature. He seems to be the type of person who can't stand when things don't go his way. He was kind when Maya was obedient, but changed dramatically when she expressed her desire to become an illustrator. It's probably due to his personality. Being at home was painful for me, and the company became my place of comfort. We work at the same company but in different departments so we can avoid each other. This made it easier to endure the growing tension at home. I received a certain offer, and hearing it, I made a big decision. One day, my husband suddenly said something unexpected. I've decided to buy Mia a brand new high-rise condominium. Maya is still my precious daughter, after all. I want her to live somewhere nice. I've already started the paperwork with a real estate agent. Despite his contempt for Mia, this sudden turn of events aroused suspicion. Moreover, I wondered if he had the money to buy a new high-rise condominium. Seeing my reaction, he smirked. Don't worry, you're the one paying for the high-rise condominium. What? Hold on a second. You can't just decide something like that without discussing it, I retorted. Ethan just scoffed. I know you've got $500,000 from your previous husband's life insurance, right? You can buy it with that. With your money, I'm going to live in the high-rise condominium with Mia. I had to put up with her, so I'm planning to make full use of her. You and Maya are ultimately my property, so just obey me. A surge of anger rose within me. He had decided to buy the high-rise condominium despite Maya and me. I couldn't comprehend his way of thinking. Incredibly, he carelessly revealed his scheme and intentions. Besides, there was no way I was going to let my important life insurance money be used for such a thing. I am truly a good father, buying a house for my daughter. If you oppose, it's divorce. Just give me the money, and I'm done with you. The moment I heard that, I struck back without mercy. I went to my room and brought out the divorce papers. Fine, here are the divorce papers. When I showed him the divorce papers, he was stunned. He must not have expected me to have them, but the real retaliation was just beginning. I smirked, facing my bewildered husband, and explained what I had been considering for some time now. I can't trust a man who discriminates against his own daughter like that. I'm tired of living a life where I'm constantly criticized by you. I decided a while ago to divorce you. I was just waiting for the right time to bring it up. And then you said you wanted a divorce. It worked out just fine. He must have intended the divorce talk to be a threat. Completely flustered, he stammered, you see. Ignoring him, I filled in the divorce papers. Come on, you write it down too. You want to be free from me too, don't you? When I urged him, he reacted in rage. What do you mean, divorce? It was just a joke. What are you thinking, bringing out divorce papers? Hearing that, my anger reached its peak. I don't understand you either. I don't understand why you would buy a high-rise condominium just to spite your family. If you say we can't divorce, I'm willing to consult a lawyer. Begrudgingly, he filled in the divorce papers, but he was furious, saying, Remember this? It seemed like he would retaliate in some form if I stayed in the house. I immediately left the house and submitted the divorce papers to the office. When I reported everything to Mia by phone, she was as angry as I was at my husband's outrageous behavior. That's terrible. You're right to divorce him. You can stay in my condo for a while, she said. I decided to take her up on her offer. That night, Maya and I discussed and planned our retaliation against my husband. About a week later, on a day off, Maya and I visited the house where my husband, or rather ex-husband, lived. Even though I had been living there just a week ago, it felt like someone else's house. When we rang the doorbell, he came out immediately. What do you two want? Did you come to apologize for what happened? My ex-husband asked, looking down on Maya and me with a condescending gaze. I was quite irritated but swallowed my anger and spoke in a slightly weak voice. That's right, I came to apologize because I thought I had done something wrong. I'm sorry, Dad. Maya also made a remorseful face, quite the actress. However, my ex-husband didn't realize it was a performance and seemed genuinely pleased. I see. So you've decided to reflect on your actions. I'm happy. However, he seemed curious about the bags we were carrying. What are you doing with all those bags? We were carrying bags that were filled to the brim in both hands, tied up so you couldn't see inside. I took a stack of $10,000 bills from one of the bags. By the way, this was real money. I thought it was wrong what I did to you, so I decided to give you my late husband's life insurance money. You can live in the high-rise condominium with Mia using this money. There's $500,000. Can you put it in the safe? My ex-husband was entranced by the $10,000 stack of bills. Sure, please put it in the safe, he said, easily letting Mia and me into the house. Even though it had only been a week since we left, the house was littered with laundry and garbage. Come to think of it, my ex-husband was very bad at tidying up and doing housework. Imagining that he must be having a hard time living alone, I couldn't help but smile. Maya and I stuffed the contents of the bags into the safe. However, we put the $10,000 we showed him back in the bag, not in the safe. Fortunately, he wasn't watching us as he went to the kitchen, saying, "I'll make some tea." When I returned to Maya's condo, I packed my bags and went out again. I was setting out on my own to a new place. "Take care, Mom." Maya saw me off with a smile. "I'll contact you when I settle down. Take care of yourself, Mia." I left Maya's condo with a smile on my face. 2 days later, I was asleep in my new home. When I received a call from my ex-husband, he asked, "Hey, what happened to the $500,000? There's nothing but garbage in the safe." As I burst into laughter, I thought to myself, he really took a while to figure it out, huh? My ex-husband had neatly fallen into my trap. The majority of what was in those bags was simply scrap paper. I had rolled up unwanted newspapers and filled the bags. I told him that each bag contained $500,000, but that was a lie to gain his trust. I did prepare $10,000 in real cash from the bank. That money was immediately returned to my account, so I had nothing in hand. If he had asked to see the content of the bags, I was ready to show him, scoffing at the absurdity of the situation. But he was fooled by just the sight of the $10,000 and didn't suspect a thing until now. "You've treated Mia and me horribly. I think it's fair to return the favor. If you want to hold a grudge, hold it against your past self, not me," I said. Desperately, he responded. "I understand I was wrong. Can we live together again? I can't afford the high-rise condo, and I can't manage the housework. My place has turned into a trash heap." Taken aback by his self-centered plea, I retorted, "I'm not your ATM or your housemaid. You're an adult. Figure it out. Besides, I'm in Japan now. I can't come back to you." That's right. I was now living in Tokyo, Japan. This wasn't a mere overseas trip. I received an offer to work abroad for my company and decided to take it up. I've always wanted to work overseas, and I love studying Japanese. The offer that came before our divorce was this opportunity to work overseas. Once I heard about it, I decided to divorce him and live overseas. I could live my dream and get away from my ex-husband. It was killing two birds with one stone. I had told Mia, but kept it from my ex, who was clearly taken aback. "So, that's why I haven't seen you at work recently. Why didn't you tell me?" he asked. "Why should I? We're in different departments, and we're strangers now. Oh, by the way, Maya has something she wants to say to you. Tomorrow, we'll call you at 8 p.m. your time using a messaging app." All right. Is Maya going to live with me?" he asked. "We'll see. Wait until tomorrow," I said, hanging up, but I knew what Maya was going to talk about. I was looking forward to seeing his reaction as I drifted off to sleep. The next morning, I had to get up fairly early due to the time difference, but it couldn't be helped. I started up the messaging app and video called my ex and Mia. Maya started expressing her feelings to her father right away. "I loved you when I was a kid, Dad. I respected you as a parent and love you from the bottom of my heart," Maya said. Ethan looked pleased to hear that, but Maya's speech didn't stop there. "But that's all in the past. You outright denied my career path, Dad. That's when I realized your true nature. You just wanted to control me, and there's no love in that. I hate you now, and I don't want to see you again." "This call is our final contact," Maya declared. Upon hearing that, my ex seemed to be on the verge of tears. "Don't say such things," he pleaded. I had expected him to get angry, but this reaction was surprising. Maybe he assumed Mia would love him no matter what, but Maya's harsh words continued. "This is how I really feel, Dad. You need to reflect on how you hurt Mom all this time. Also, I moved out, so there's no point in going to the apartment where I used to live. Don't use detectives or anything to forcefully find out my new address." That's all I wanted to say. I also told him something I had forgotten to mention earlier. I had explained the circumstances of our divorce to our workplace relatives and your parents. I don't think relying on them will do you any good. Well, goodbye. Once Maya ended the video call, I also ended mine. My ex-husband was pleading, "I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I apologize, so please give me another chance." But I didn't care about that anymore. Later, when Maya and I talked, she said, "I feel so much better now that I've said what I wanted to." I felt relieved after seeing my ex-husband in distress too. Apparently, it became uncomfortable for my ex-husband at his workplace. Though he resigned, he was disowned by relatives and his own parents. He couldn't buy the high-rise condominium and had to cancel. Moreover, he caused a scene at Mia's workplace trying to call her out at the reception desk. He was immediately locked out and banned from the premises. My ex-husband, who kept repeating his selfish behavior, ended up losing everything instead of gaining anything. He seems to have lost all his energy and is now living as a recluse at home. A colleague wanted to ask him something about the handover of work and tried to contact him, but he didn't answer. The colleague went to his house reluctantly, where he found my ex-husband looking lifeless with a thick beard. He looked like a ghost, and a bad smell was coming from the room. According to the colleague, his house is probably in a state of garbage dump. Looking at my ex-husband living such an unfortunate life, I couldn't help but think he got what he deserved. On the other hand, I am enjoying my job overseas. I do hate cultural barriers being surrounded by foreigners, but I overcome them by carefully communicating. I can use my proficiency in Japanese, and I'm really glad I transferred overseas. Maya is working hard as an illustrator, and it seems like she's been given some big projects recently. I have a lot of meaningful work, and it's fun, she said over the phone. It's a joy for me as a parent to see my daughter doing what she loves despite all the hurdles. Both Maya and I are starting to shine in our lives.